I'm Sumati Sharan, founder and CEO of Ladle, the AI-powered sous chef to help nourish women in midlife. And today I'm joined by Alicia Connor, dietitian nutritionist who also works with women 40 plus. And we're going to have this wonderful conversation in this episode of Cooking Hacks with Ladle. And we're talking about how to inspire women at the end of the day, after a busy day, how to inspire them and excite them about starting to cook. So, Alicia, you know, women at this, you realize that women at this age, they've got a lot going on in their lives, right? They've got jobs and careers, taking care of themselves. Most likely, a lot of women have families too, right? Partners and kids. And some may have aging parents with the sandwich generation, right? So a lot going on and trying to figure out, okay, what do we do at the end of the day? And so I'm going to ask you, what is the biggest mistake you think women in this age group make in terms of feeding themselves, especially in a busy day?
I would say a biggest mistake could be not hydrating enough.
Wow, that's a good one. And it's funny that you said that, and I almost wanted to.
Cheers to water of the
Cheers!
gods,
Exactly.
wine of the gods.
Exactly. You said that, and thank you for the reminder. You said that, you made me think about that, and I was like, okay, why not? That's actually really true. We don't really think about water. We think about everything else. And water is really one thing, and I've also reading somewhere that women need to hydrate themselves more than men do. I'm not trying to compare, but I think hydration is really important. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna do this fun exercise with you today. I'm gonna paint a couple scenarios, okay? Paint a couple scenarios and see where we go. So think about this fact. It's at 4 o'clock, right? 4 o'clock. You got you're thinking about, okay, what should I do for dinner tonight? Got a couple minutes to think about it. You're trying to plan a little bit ahead of time before 5:36, 6ish, which is typical dinner time for us in the U.S. And so, what would you suggest? So think about this person. She's trying to cook for multiple people, including herself. Um, what is one thing she could do to make her whole evening easier?
At 4 o'clock, depending on where she is, think about what is at home in the kitchen. If she knows what's in there, then she could pull together a meal quickly when she gets home, or maybe even put something in the oven or pull out a couple items from the kitchen if there's a work at home situation. So it's depending on where she is and what would the easiest step feel like to pull together dinner, whether or not it means like write a list of groceries to go pick up from the store or order online so that she has what she needs when she gets home.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a great idea. Yeah, that definitely will be helpful. So, on the other side, I use technology to make some of those things easier with Ladle for people, right? So, um, one of the things that we do is this feature. So there's the ability for you to go to Ladle at app.ladle.cooking and do a search, right? So if you can think about what you want to eat, say you want to have something with cheese, or you want to have enchiladas, or you want to have chicken or whatever that is, you can do a search, put ingredients in there. But there is this feature that I love that is called What's in My Kitchen. And what that allows you to do is take a photograph of your refrigerator, and then we break it down to ingredients, and we recommend what dishes you can make with that, right? And you literally, you can look up on your mobile phone, you can pick a dish, you can personalize it, but more than that, you can actually order those ingredients through Instacart. So I used to do this. My commute now is not that long, but it used to be I used to have a long, literally an hour commute, hour 15 sometimes coming back home. You could actually order those ingredients on your way home and pick them up on your way home as you come home. So you have the dish you want and the ingredients you want, and that would make your life a lot easier.
Amazing.
Uh, so yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we're coming to the time where it is really possible to cook healthy and cook it and do so more easily, right? So I think that's what I'm hoping to actually, with you, offer people some of those little tips and tricks to do that. So now let's paint a different scenario, right? So now we're looking at a woman at 5:30, right? It's that bewitching hour. Either you've just come home or about to get home and picking up kids at soccer practices, ballet practices, all these things. Everybody's coming home. And even if you don't have kids, I mean, you're coming home and you're in a commute or you are getting off your computer and you're tired and you're like, I've got to get dinner in 30 minutes. What do I do?
So after you take a sip of water, which we will right now, uh,
Eh,
you could use the Ladle app, just like what Sumati just mentioned. But you could also look at your pantry and your refrigerator and see what you could pull together that has protein, carbohydrates, and vegetables. So that could mean what meat, fish, eggs, or animal plant-based protein like tofu, beans, lentils that you have. And is it already cooked? Does it need cooking? And
yeah.
could you create a what's my favorite thing in the world is what can you cook with your eyes closed? So that means you
Okay.
individually, it's effortless. It takes nothing for you to make it, to think on the steps. You know what I mean? Because if it's a new recipe, you want to pay attention, follow the steps, etc. But if it's something you can make with your eyes closed, then it'll take less time.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that you've shared with me before is having things at hand. If you're the kind of person who's trying to cook in that 30 minutes, right? Then cooking everything from scratch is not a possibility, right? That just is fr- frustrating. So I think, maybe having certain things in their refrigerator that maybe it's pre-cut vegetables, maybe, I know Trader Joe's and places like that have these amazing, chicken strips that you can, that they're already grilled and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
maybe
rotisserie
that,
chicken.
yeah, 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 things like that. So you are supplementing more than cooking from scratch, right? That could probably could be a really good thing, right?
Sure. Yeah, and there's a lot of shelf stable grains, wild rice, quinoa, and then the canned beans that some of them already have flavor, some of them don't have flavor. Always reading the ingredients, especially for folks who have food sensitivities or allergies. Um, but it's pretty handy to have a pantry with plant-based proteins that are already cooked for you. And then maybe there's some sort of animal protein, whatever, everybody's different. And then some vegetables either in the freezer or in the refrigerator already cut up so that it just makes it a snap to bring together a meal.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Um, So, here's also the potential scenario, right? So, if you're cooking and you're trying to cook for yourself, you're trying to cook for a kid, I mean, what if you have a picky 10-year-old, right? And also potentially a parent who can eat what you can, but may not be able to eat what you can, right? So, one of the things that we have on Ladle is the ability. So first and foremost, if you're a woman going through perimenopause or menopause, and you choose to cook, you basically tell us that you cook for hormonal health. There's a whole category of recipes that qualify. So pick a recipe. Say, for example, you end up picking something like salmon and vegetables, right? Salmon is really good for you. It's rich in protein, but it's also omega 3s and all that. But you have a picky 10-year-old, you can make that recipe into a different diet. If your picky 10-year-old is, doesn't want to eat dairy or doesn't want to have gluten or doesn't want to have wants to have a specific diet. Or you can substitute. Maybe he or she doesn't like fish, right? And you can go to Ladle and go to the sous chef and say, hey, can you substitute, whether, like you said, it's a plant-based protein, or you can substitute chicken. You can literally cook for that one person. You can substitute that for that particular one person and make that work for your child. And similarly, you can make substitutions and make the dish softer or different based on what the parent would want. So and this can be done very quickly, right? You can really very quickly substitute one ingredient for the other and be able to satisfy different people in your household. So I just actually love being able to do that. The fact that we can easily substitute both serving sizes and ingredients. And there's also one other thing we have is a category called 30-minute meals. And that's lovely because you can literally then look for meals that can be cooked quickly, right? And yeah, so that works really well because sometimes 30 minutes is all you need. And especially with some of the planning that Alicia is talking about, and especially if you got a few things in your fridge or your pantry, like the staples. And we'll talk more about that in another episode in terms of, what staples people should have. But, you can often cook a pretty decent, healthy meal for yourself and others in your family in that 30 minutes. Now I'm going to actually move to another topic, and I know you're going to love this because you are Miss Planner, right? So think about the fact that you got to plan on Sunday, right? On Sunday, the week before, you want to get ahead, you want to plan. What does that look like you wanted to be spending, less than half an hour on Sunday to plan it out. What would that look like?
So I think it's helpful to make sure like the shopping, the cooking, the planning is done on different days. Because if we put too much weight on one day, we're just going to start the week exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And so if shopping or ordering food through Instacart, right, is super helpful so that you don't have to go get the food. And so the food arrives to you, saving a lot of time. We each have this shared experience of enjoying 168 hours per person per week. And so it's helpful to be intentional about this time. And that's why planning is so important. So what I would do is I'm a big fan of having 3 different types of breakfast, 3 different types of lunches, 3 different types of dinners, and then snacks. But, it's just an idea, and this might be a long term strategy than just coming up with this list right now. But a lot of folks that I work with, they complain that, following a plan is usually not sustainable because there's not enough variety. So we need enough variety, like in the taste as well as the texture, um, and nutrients. To maintain our attention on the most important person in our life, which is ourselves. Just a friendly reminder there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would come up with a list of 3 to 4 different dishes, maybe that you could make. And maybe you make like 1 or 2 on Sunday. You actually cook them fully through. And you're not like, you don't have to make the pasta. You don't have to make all of the things from scratch, but you could on Saturday, if you're somebody that cooks beans, you could soak the beans on Saturday and then cook the beans on Sunday. And then you have cooked beans, and then you could add some vegetables to that, and then that could be part of your salad, like the plant-based protein and the carb for a salad with some vegetables for meals ahead in the future. And then you could cook some lentils, and the lentils could also be part of a soup or part of a stew or like a chili kind of concept, like a one pot meal. And so cooking some sort of plant-based proteins, and those could be purchased cooked as well. So that would take the pressure off having to cook them. And so I would look ahead at what is this week going to bring in terms of time, and what is the fastest way to pull together a plan for the upcoming week with minimal effort. There's some weeks that you're going to have more time and be able to cook more. And then there's other weeks that just need to be more assembly. And so being intentional and responsible with what the week will bring ahead will help you manage those decisions. I know I just mentioned a couple of general concepts, and I think it's actually more helpful to have a general idea because everyone eats differently, and your approach needs to be modified depending on the season.
Yeah, yeah, no, there's some great ideas there. So for us also, what I have done is talk to a lot of women in this age group, And one of the features that we have on Ladle is the weekly recipe meal planner, right? And this is actually great. What it allows you to do is if you have, you've got some recipes as your favorites, right? And what I call it is pick and click. You click on a recipe and you click on the meal planner and it automatically gets into the slot, right? So you can plan the meals that you're cooking for the week and put them in there. And it's actually very easy to add them and get rid of them. And then you can take that list to the grocery store, or you can order all those ingredients at one time. So, if you're sitting on a Sunday
Very cool.
afternoon, and you could also, if you've got other family members, involve them. It's like, hey, do you want to eat this? And, like you were just mentioning, you've got a sense of what your week is bringing anyway, right? You have an idea of typically, of course, things happen, but you typically know, which days are what and how, how they turn out to be, so you can kind of plan accordingly. But having that plan, and you can order the ingredients all at one time. You can basically bash that all together. You can also pull out things that are already in your pantry. So, there's this list for however meals, whether you're cooking 3 times or 4 times that week. And you can pull things out that are already in your pantry, and you can order that on Instacart in one swoop, or you can take it to the grocery store. And I like Alicia's idea. But again, if you're doing it in one swoop and it all gets done and you're getting ordered, but you may not go that day to the grocery store, but just having all that done, the planning done, then you can actually go shop when it works, but you have all the list in front of you that you're trying to get, and that just makes your life easier. And I think that's the one thing I've had a lot of people share, that they like the idea of cooking, but the hardest thing is it's like, okay, what am I cooking? Especially when you're kind of partially brain dead at the end of the day. What am I going to cook and how do I get started, right? So that is something that is really important. That's something that I wrestle with, and I wanted to hear from you your take on how you were wrestling with that and how
Yeah, and I mean, I'll cook, 2 to 3 times a week, and then benefit from the leftovers and make sure I fill my freezer once a month, and so I'm emptying my freezer once a month. Um, and so I think it's helpful. It's not reasonable to say I'm going to cook every day, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
cook everything from scratch for dinner every day. That's a great aspiration, but it's not reasonable or realistic.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah. And I actually like I think your whole idea is about being able to, like the bean idea that you have, right? Or just being able to have these different things, whether it's grains or beans or vegetables, if you've got them in a semi-prepared state, right? There's some, pre-cooked, and you can add to different things. It just makes life so much easier, right?
mm,
So really, really appreciate. Always fun to talk to you, Alicia. Always fun to like learn new things. Yeah, really appreciate that. I'm always learning, and I mean, I last time I talked to you, I got the idea of batching food, right, and kind of freezing it in. Sometimes I actually made chili, and I froze it in batches, and that was great because I don't like having leftovers every day. So the fact that I had 4 batches of chili that I could actually eat over 4 weeks, right? One portion each. That worked out really well. So always learning from you. Thank you very much. So with that, which women are you? Are you cooking for yourself? Are you feeding a family with kids? Or you're taking care of a parent? Or maybe it's all three. I hope we are able to provide you a little bit of, a little bit of nugget here and there to make your life easier. Please go check out the app at app.ladle.cooking, and also share with us, share with Alicia and me at info.ladle.cooking, what you're doing and what you need help with, and we would be happy to support you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alicia. Nice talking to you.
you're welcome.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye.